Over 250 people were taken from their homes, bound and gagged, thrown into the trays of utes or forced onto motorcycles and taken into Gaza. And as the terrorists forced these hostages into tunnels, the terrorists were welcomed home with cheers, not condemnation. October 7 is the deadliest per capita terrorist attack in modern history, with over one person killed per every 10,000 Israelis. This is as if 50,000 Americans had died in the 9/11 attacks. This was an attack on Israel, but it was an attack on the world too. Almost 80 foreign nationals were killed, including Australian Galit Carbone, whose brother Danny Meisner, a survivor of the Kibbutz Be'eri attack, is in the Parliament today, and it was a privilege to meet with him earlier. October 7 has rent the world apart. Sparking a new cycle of hate, division and violence was the objective of Hamas on October 7, both in the Middle East and across the world. I wish that today, as we mark this dark milestone, I could reflect on the strength of Australia's response. I wish I could be able to say that Australia did all it could to help release the hostages, end the violence and dismantle the terrorist group Hamas. Yet to do so would be a lie. To our great shame, under the leadership of the Albanese Labor government, Australia has not stood with the people of Israel, nor with the United States, as they have sought to dismantle Hamas and establish the conditions for peace. To our great shame, the Albanese Labor government dragged its feet, listing Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist organisation. 2 years on, we stand apart from our friends in this time of their greatest need. 2 years on, Australia has failed to stand firm in the face of terror. Australia has been lauded by Hamas and condemned by Israel and by the United States. Australia could have stood firm, and to their great credit, millions of Australians have. But those Australians and our Jewish community have been failed by their government. We have allowed hate to take root onto our streets and into our communities. As homes still smouldered in Israel, here in Australia, protesters hijacked a vigil at the Sydney Opera House with cries of "Where's the Jews?" As Jewish Australians sought to find solace in their moment of grief, they were confronted by hate. In the years since, the tide of anti-Semitism has risen across Australia. We see it in the armed guards that stand at Jewish childcare centres, and we have seen it in the Jewish businesses that have been boycotted and harassed, and in the synagogues and businesses that have been firebombed. We see it in the horrific anti-Semitic terror attack in recent days in Manchester too. We see it in the hateful graffiti sprayed in Fitzroy this morning. I make this clear to all Australians. Hamas is a listed terrorist organisation. Supporting Hamas is not free speech. It is a crime. Those responsible must face the full force of the law. All Victorians deserve to feel safe in their own community. The AFP and ASIO should support Victoria Police to track down those behind this disgraceful act and bring them to justice. To our great shame, there are people today in this country seeking to hold protests this week. We cannot and should not allow the Sydney Opera House to be used as a backdrop of hate. To those seeking to protest, heed this simple message: stop. Seeking to use October 7 to advance your political agenda is abhorrent and un-Australian. Today cannot be only about words. As we mark October 7, we must recommit ourselves to taking action to stamp out anti-Semitism and to affirm our support for the existence of Israel, the world's only Jewish state. The Albanese Labor government must get off the fence and enact the recommendations of their own anti-Semitism envoy to stamp out anti-Semitism. Today, as we mark this moment and reflect on the horror of October 7, there is hope too. There is hope for a path to peace thanks to the efforts of the US administration. We must stand with the US and with Israel and give our support to this process. To Israel, to survivors, to the Jewish people everywhere, you are not alone. We stand with you in grief, in solidarity, and in the unbreakable hope that life will triumph over terror. Israel Chai, the people of Israel live.
Yeah. I inform the House of the death on 18 September 2025 of James Henry Snow, a member of this House for the division of Eden Monaro from 1983 to 1996. As a mark of respect to the memory of Jim Snow, I invite all present to rise in their places. I thank the House. We shall move to questions without notice. Are there any questions? And I give the call to the Honourable, the Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Communications. 147 days ago, the Minister was sworn into her portfolio, and yet she still self-identifies as a new Minister. Being new is no excuse. Australians dialling 000 in an emergency cannot wait for you to learn. The Minister isn't across her brief, and by her own admission, people have died. Given the magnitude of the 000 crisis, does the Minister regret her decision to prioritise a trip to New York over dealing with these urgent matters in Australia?
Call to the Minister for Communications and the Minister for Sport.
I thank the Leader of the Opposition for her question. We can all agree that the outages that occurred last month by Optus are completely unacceptable. Optus's failings are under multiple investigations, including by ACMA, the independent regulator, and by state authorities. No one should be under any illusion this outage was the fault of Optus and Optus alone, and they will be held accountable. However, Optus's repeated failures have made one thing very clear. The 000 system needs reform, and that's exactly what our government is delivering. Yeah. Today we've announced 6 key points that we are prioritising to make 000 the most resilient and the most safe system that it can be. 1. Introducing a new bill to enshrine the 000 custodian in law. 2. Introducing real-time reporting of outages to ACMA and emergency services. 3. Forcing telcos to test 000 during upgrades